All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dig deep, literally. We're talking about this unsung hero right beneath our feet that connects, well, pretty much everything. Our food, our water, and even our climate. Have you ever wondered why one garden just explodes with life while another one struggles? Or when you see those huge dust storms, where does all that stuff actually come from? Well, the answer to these massive questions is hiding in something really small, dark, and incredibly important. We're talking about something most people have never even heard of, but and I'm not exaggerating here, it's literally the foundation of life on this planet. So yeah, let's get our hands dirty and figure this out. Okay, so what we're talking about is humus. Gardeners and farmers often call it black gold, and for a really, really good reason. So what is this stuff exactly? Well, think of it like this. Humus is the final, super stable end product of everything that was once alive. It's what's left after all the leaves, the roots, the microbes have completely broken down and been transformed. It's not just decay. It's more like a rebirth into this amazing, complex, carbon-rich material. It's so transformed you can't even tell what it used to be. Now, a lot of people mix up humus and compost, and it's an easy mistake to make, but they are not the same thing. Here's a great way to think about it. Compost is the busy kitchen, right? All the ingredients are cooking, things are still breaking down. Humus, that's the finished meal. It's the perfected, super nutrient-dense dish that's ready to be served. So, how does it get made? The process is called humification, and it's basically nature's master recycling program. But here's the thing. It's incredibly slow. We're talking centuries sometimes. You've got this microscopic workforce, fungi, bacteria, earthworms, just tirelessly breaking things down and then putting them back together again until you get this incredible super substance. And this is where things get really interesting. Our whole understanding of this has changed recently. See, for years, we thought humus mostly came from leaves and stuff decaying on the surface. But the latest science, it shows the real action, the real engine of humus creation is happening deep underground, around the plant roots. Plants are actively pumping out these sugary liquids, they're called exudates, to feed this huge community of microbes. And it's those microbes, living and dying by the trillions, whose tiny bodies actually form up to 80% of the most stable, longest-lasting humus. Isn't that wild? Okay, so once this black gold is finally made, what's the big deal? What does it actually do? Well, it turns out humus has three incredible superpowers that are absolutely essential for a healthy planet. And they're super easy to remember. Just think of humus as a glue, a pantry, and a sponge. Each one of those jobs is critical for creating healthy, resilient soil. Okay, superpower number one, it's the soil glue. Humus basically sticks all the tiny mineral particles together into these bigger clumps, and that creates what's called soil structure. Now, that structure is everything. It makes little tunnels for air and water to get through, and it holds the soil together so it doesn't just wash away in the rain or blow away in the wind. Remember those dust storms we mentioned? Yeah, a lack of humus is a huge reason why those happen. Superpower number two, it's a nutrient pantry. This is so cool. Humus particles have a negative charge, which means they act like a magnet for all these essential positively charged nutrients like calcium and potassium. It literally grabs onto them, stops them from just washing away, and then serves them up to the plants exactly when they need them. It's like nature's perfect slow-release fertilizer. And finally, superpower number three, it's a water sponge. And this one is absolutely crucial, especially now. Because of its spongy structure, it can absorb and hold a ridiculous amount of water. We're talking up to 90% of its own weight. This makes soil so much more resilient during a drought, keeping plants hydrated right when they need it most. And the numbers here are just staggering. Get this, for every 1% increase you have in soil organic matter, a single hectare of land can hold an extra 170,000 liters of water. To put that in perspective, that's enough to fill 2 typical backyard swimming pools. So this isn't some small tweak. It's a powerful natural water management system that can make a whole landscape drought-proof. So these superpowers, they don't just matter in your garden. They scale up in a huge way and have a massive impact on some of our biggest global challenges, especially when it comes to our climate. And this brings us to a really crucial point about the climate conversation. We talk a lot about emissions from cars, from factories, but as researcher Graham's site points out, we've been missing a much, much bigger piece of the carbon puzzle. Okay, so for about the last century, a lot of our farming practices, especially intensive tilling, have basically just cracked open the soil. It's like opening a door and letting all this stable, stored carbon get exposed to the air where it oxidizes and just floats off as CO2. And the scale of this loss is honestly shocking. If you look at this chart, you can see we've actually lost almost double the amount of carbon from our soils than we've emitted from burning all fossil fuels combined. That's huge. But, and this is the important part, here's the flip side. That massive problem is also our single greatest opportunity. If we change how we farm, how we manage our land, we can completely reverse that process. Building humus is honestly one of the most powerful, ready-to-go tools we have to pull massive amounts of carbon out of the atmosphere and lock it safely back in the ground where it belongs. And look, this is not just a job for big agriculture or farmers. The great news is that every single one of us can play a role in this. We can all help rebuild the planet's humus. Let me show you how. The solutions are actually pretty simple, but they're incredibly powerful. It doesn't matter if you have a huge backyard or just buy groceries. You can absolutely make a difference. Things like composting, using mulch on your garden beds, not digging up the soil so much, and of course, supporting farmers who practice what's called regenerative agriculture. Every one of these actions helps rebuild this vital resource from the ground up. All right, so let's pull all this together. To wrap things up, let's just quickly go over the 5 most important things to remember about humus. So there you have it, the 5 key takeaways. 1. Humus is that final, stable end product. It's not just compost. 2. It's mostly made by a microscopic army deep in the soil. 3. Its superpowers are creating soil structure, storing nutrients, and holding onto water. 4. Our soil has lost a staggering amount of carbon, which makes rebuilding humus a key climate solution. And 5, we can all help fix this with simple things like composting and no-till gardening. It's not just dirt, it's the living heart of our planet. You know, it's pretty fascinating when you realize that the words humus, human, and humility all come from the exact same Latin root, which means of the earth. It's this powerful little reminder in our own language that we're not separate from the ground we stand on. We are, in a very real sense, part of it. So the next time you're out walking on the grass or you're working in a garden, just take a second to remember everything that's happening right beneath your feet. The health of our soil is, without a doubt, the health of our planet. And that leaves us with a really important question. Now that we know this, how will we choose to treat the ground beneath our feet? Thanks for digging in with us today.